Odysseus survived Troy, the Cyclops, the Sirens, and the wrath of Poseidon. He returned to Ithaca, killed the suitors, reclaimed his home, and was finally forced into peace by Athena. But ancient Greek storytelling did not leave him there. A lost epic called the Telegony continued the story beyond Homer. In that sequel, Odysseus left home again, ruled another kingdom, fought another war, and returned to Ithaca only to die at the hands of a son he did not recognize. The killer was Telegonus, the young son associated with Circe. He had crossed the sea searching for his father. Neither man understood who stood before him until the fight was over. The Odyssey is a story of recognition. The Telegony ends with recognition arriving too late. The lost sequel after Homer. The Telegony itself has disappeared. We do not possess its complete verses, speeches, or scenes. What survives is mainly a short ancient summary preserved under the name of Proclus, together with later witnesses that add or alter details. Ancient sources describe it as a two-book poem traditionally attributed to Eugamon of Cyrene. It belonged to the epic cycle, the larger group of poems surrounding the Trojan War. This matters. The Telegony is not a missing chapter written by Homer. Even the surviving traditions do not agree on every point. The best-known story makes Telegonus the son of Odysseus and Circe, while another ancient testimony associates him with Calypso. The safest reconstruction follows the surviving plot summary and labels later additions honestly. Odysseus leaves Ithaca again. The lost sequel begins after the violence in the palace. The relatives of Penelope's suitors bury their dead, and Odysseus makes sacrifices to the nymphs. Peace has arrived, but it does not become permanence. Odysseus then sails to Elis to inspect his herds. King Polyxenus welcomes him and gives him a mixing bowl decorated with the story of Trophonius, Agamemnon, and Augeas. The summary pauses over the gift, suggesting that the lost poem once opened another story. Now only the bowl remains, like a door whose room has vanished. Odysseus sails back to Ithaca and performs the sacrifices ordered by Tiresias. In the Odyssey, the prophet had told him to carry in or inland until people mistook it for a winnowing fan, then make peace with Poseidon. The sequel claims that unfinished duty. Yet fulfilling the prophecy does not end his wandering. Odysseus travels onward to Thesprotia. The man whose entire Odyssey was driven by the desire to reach Ithaca leaves Ithaca again. The lost sequel transforms homecoming from a conclusion into another departure. The Queen of Thesprotia. In Thesprotia, Odysseus meets Eurydice, the ruling queen. She asks him to remain, marries him, and shares her kingdom with him. The hero who fought to return to Penelope becomes another queen's husband. Because the poem is lost, we cannot hear his motives or how the story treated Penelope. Eurydice bears Odysseus another son, Polypides. The Telegony therefore expands his family far beyond the household restored in the Odyssey. Every new relationship also creates another line of inheritance, another divided loyalty, and another possible conflict. Another war and another son. A war breaks out between the Thesprotians and the Brygi. Odysseus leads Eurydice's people into battle. After surviving 10 years at Troy and 10 years of wandering, he again becomes a commander in a foreign war. The war rises beyond human scale. Ares drives Odysseus' army back. Athena confronts Ares, and Apollo finally separates the two gods. The Telegony repeats a pattern familiar from the Iliad. Human conflict becomes an arena for divine rivalry. After Eurydice dies, Polypides inherits the Thesprotian kingdom. Odysseus leaves this second dynasty behind and returns to Ithaca. It is another homecoming, but the audience now knows that a second son is already traveling toward him. Telegonus searches for his father. Telegonus grows up away from Ithaca. His name itself is commonly understood as born far away. He knows Odysseus as a father in stories, not as a man he has met. When he learns his identity, he sails out to find him. Later mythographic tradition gives Telegonus a weapon unlike an ordinary spear. Its point is armed with the spine of a stingray. The surviving summary of the Telegony does not mention this weapon, so it must be treated as a later detail attached to the death story. The setup reverses the emotional structure of the Odyssey. Telemachus searched for his absent father and eventually recognized him before they fought together. Telegonus also searches for Odysseus, but no Athena prepares the meeting, no trusted servant identifies him, and no secret sign prevents disaster. Telegonus reaches Ithaca without knowing it is the home he seeks. The surviving accounts compress the arrival, but the result is clear. He begins taking livestock or ravaging the land. To the Ithacans, he appears not as a lost son, but as a foreign raider. The raid on Ithaca. Odysseus hears that strangers are attacking his island. He does what he has done throughout his life. He arms himself and goes out to defend his people. The father approaches the son as an enemy before either hears the other's name. In Homer, recognition depends on signs: a scar, a bough, a rooted bed, a remembered tree. Here, the story removes every protection. Telegonus carries no proof that reaches Odysseus in time. Odysseus sees only a threat, and Telegonus sees only the warrior blocking his search. The surviving summary says only that Odysseus comes out to defend Ithaca and is killed unknowingly by his son. That brevity is brutal. An epic scene that may once have contained speeches, challenges, hesitation, and discovery has collapsed into a single sentence. Neither fighter is evil. Telegonus is searching for family. Odysseus is protecting home. The catastrophe comes from ignorance, speed, and the warrior instinct both inherited. The qualities that saved Odysseus in earlier stories now prevent him from pausing long enough to recognize his own son. The son who killed Odysseus. In the later account preserved by Pseudo-Apollodorus, Telegonus wounds Odysseus with the stingray-barbed spear. The injury kills the king of Ithaca. The sea has reached him even on his own land. Only after the blow does Telegonus discover whom he has struck. The stranger is not merely an Ithacan defender. He is Odysseus, the father Telegonus crossed the sea to find. The search succeeds at the exact moment it becomes irreversible. The Odyssey repeatedly delays recognition so that reunion becomes more powerful. The Telegony uses the same delay to create catastrophe. Odysseus recognized Telemachus in time to fight beside him. He recognizes Telegonus only when father and son can never build a life together. Odysseus spent the Odyssey struggling against the sea to reach Ithaca. The lost sequel lets him die while defending Ithaca from a danger brought across that same sea. His home is restored, but it cannot protect him from the consequences of the life he lived beyond it. A death from the sea. In Book 11 of the Odyssey, Tiresias predicts that death will come to Odysseus using a Greek phrase that has been translated in different ways. Many translations say it will come far from the sea. Others understand it as coming from the sea. The stingray spine creates a dark solution. Odysseus dies on land, yet the instrument of death comes from the sea. The prophecy is fulfilled through an object rather than a location. It is clever, strange, and exactly the kind of reinterpretation later myth could build from an ambiguous line. We should not pretend the surviving evidence is cleaner than it is. Proclus gives the accidental killing but does not describe the spear. Pseudo-Apollodorus supplies the stingray barb. Modern retellings often combine them into one seamless scene. The reconstruction is plausible, not a surviving passage. Tiresias also describes a gentle death in prosperous old age. Being killed by an unknown son hardly sounds gentle. That tension may reflect competing traditions, creative reinterpretation, or details lost with the poem. The Telegony does not neatly solve Homer's prophecy. It makes the prophecy more disturbing. The impossible ending. Telegonus mourns his mistake and carries Odysseus' body away from Ithaca. Penelope and Telemachus travel with him to Circe's island. The family restored at the end of the Odyssey is gathered again, but around Odysseus' death. In Proclus' summary, Circe makes Telegonus, Penelope, and Telemachus immortal. Death is followed not by a return to ordinary life, but by removal from ordinary human time. The ending shifts suddenly from tragic recognition to mythic transformation. Then comes the strangest final arrangement. Telegonus marries Penelope, while Telemachus marries Circe. The son who killed Odysseus becomes the husband of Odysseus' wife. Odysseus' acknowledged son becomes the husband of the woman associated with his father's years away from Ithaca. Perhaps the pairings were meant to close every family line and reconcile divided households. Perhaps they belong to a tradition that valued dynastic completion more than modern emotional realism. Without the poem, we cannot recover the tone. We only know the ending was remembered. What the Telegony changes. Homer makes homecoming the great reward. The Telegony refuses to let Odysseus remain home. He travels, rules, fights, fathers another dynasty, and returns only when another voyage is approaching him. The heroic violence that reunited Odysseus and Telemachus now turns inward, destroying the household before father and son exchange names. The final judgment. The Telegony can feel like a powerful tragedy. The master of disguise dies because he fails to recognize his own son. It can also feel like an unnecessary sequel that undoes the emotional piece of the Odyssey and replaces it with bizarre marriages. Our judgment must remain cautious. We possess a plot skeleton, not the poem's language. A summary can make a complex epic sound abrupt, just as reducing the Odyssey to a list of events would erase its poetry, tension, and humanity. The missing verses may have changed everything. Conclusion. The Odyssey ends with Odysseus alive, his household restored, and Athena commanding peace. The Telegony continues beyond that ending. Another kingdom, another war, another son, and one final failed recognition on Ithacan soil. Was the Telegony a brilliant tragic conclusion, or did it destroy the ending Homer had already earned? Share your interpretation in the comments. Thank you for watching, and may wisdom guide your journey.